We'll start the implementation of our intent service in the place where we've executed the refreshing thus far. Here we have the async task, which deals with downloading and saving data to the database. We'll transform this task into an intent service. We start by creating an entirely different class. Let's call it Refresh Intent Service. The name implies that we want to inherit from intent service. The intent service itself must implement the onHandleIntent method. The code called inside this method will be started in a new thread. It works similarly to the doInBackground method, which we have in the async task. Additionally, we have to implement the relevant constructor. In such a case, we need a constructor which takes a name. This name is just the name of the thread which will be used to start the onHandleIntent content. We can pass any name here. I usually do it by passing a tag here. I create a tag similar to the one I used in the login. As it is the main component, we need to have a parameterless constructor so that the system is able to choose the appropriate constructor. Given that the service is the main component, it must be placed in the manifest so that it's possible to start it from other components. Inside the application, we add a new service section and provide the name of the class we want to choose. That's all we need. From now on, we'll be able to use the service by calling the startIntentService method, just like startActivity. First of all, let's check whether everything launches well. For this purpose, we carry out a login with the information about the start of our method. The place where we want to start our service is the call of refresh. So far, we've called the execute method on the async task here. Now we can call start service here. This call takes an intent, which we must create. It works just like in the case of calling an activity after a class. We create an intent by passing the context and the class name to it. We'll check whether our code is executed. After starting the refresh function in the logcat, we see that at the very beginning, our onHandleIntent appeared there. Because of this, the code is already called. Now we can try to pass the refresh code to our method. We must move both the code responsible for downloading data from the server and the code responsible for saving data to the database. Here, we'll need a login manager. Inside the service, similarly to other components, we can call getApplication in order to get an application type object. All this may throw various exceptions which we have to handle. At the same time, we don't return the to-do object list. We save it. Another object we'll need is to-do-dale, so we add the relevant local variables and extract the elements we need. We already have the possibility of downloading data from the server and the possibility of saving it in the database. In order to make the example more interesting, we'll check whether the elements which appeared as new ones are actually new elements or just modifications. We're only interested in the elements which were created as entirely new somewhere on another device and had not been present in our database. For this purpose, we'll check their creation time and whether it's later than the one we currently have in the database. We'll need a method which extracts the latest existing created at timestamp. For that purpose, we'll use the select query with the max parameter on the created at column. This way, we'll get a single value that is the latest creation time. Let's use a ready method, the getLatestCreatedAtTime method. We'll place it in our to-do-dale. To this method, we pass the ID of the user for whom we want to find the latest element. Actually, the select max created at from to-dos where user ID query will be executed. As it is a select, we'll need a database to be read. Now we have to prepare the query. We execute the query, passing the table and the values. Next, we pass the selection, that is, the string present after where, as well as the value which should be put in the place of the question mark. We skip grouping, having, and order by. We move on to execute the query from which we obtain the cursor. We use the options enabled by the cursor. After executing the query, the cursor is always before the first element. Due to this, calling the moveToNext method tries to shift to the first element and checks whether such a movement is possible. If true is returned, it means that the first element is already set. So, if we're in the first line, we can extract its contents. In this case, we're dealing with a single value, which is a long present under the index 0. In case there is no first line, we return the minimum value which can be stored in long. Thanks to this, any value we have will be greater than this value. Now, we just need to close the cursors, close access to the database, and return the hull. Thanks to this method, we're able to find the latest element. We can compare the elements and check whether any new ones have appeared. First, we get the elements by calling getLatestCreatedAtTime on our to-do DAO. We pass the user ID downloaded from the login manager to the method. We just need to check how many new elements appeared. For this purpose, we'll prepare a counter. If it turns out that any element we inserted has a created@field timestamp greater than our newest element, we increase the counter. After executing all the entries, we can find out how many new elements appeared. If there are more than 0, it's good to inform the user that there are new tasks. To do so, we'll call the showNotification method we've created. In order to be able to operate on notifications, we need a notification manager. This is a special object whose task is to manage notifications. It checks which notifications were displayed inside the application and creates new ones. In order to gain access to the notification manager, we have to call the getSystemService method and pass it the name of the service we need. In our case, it'll be the notification service. Obviously, we need casting. Thanks to this, we can now start creating new notifications. There are several ways to create notifications. The simplest one is to use a notification builder. We can call various methods on this object to build the right notification, which we'll later be able to display. The setContentTitle methods are vital because we set the main text appearing at the top of the notification there. Moreover, we use setContentText, which is responsible for the second line displayed in the notification. In order to set the icon displayed in the notification, we can use setSmallIcon. We'll use the icon in our application.